Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the interview. Today I have Tommy Clark, right? Got it right? Tommy Clark. Most people will know him as Tommy Boy. Worked with a lot of people, creator, film producer now at this point, right? Actor. We gotta keep going. But you've been widely known for your photography over the years, correct?
Right.
And that's what I know you for as well. So man, thank you for coming out, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. So we got a lot to talk about today. You know what I'm saying? Explain yourself as however you want to, man. Say as much as you would like to, say as least as you would like to. There's no wrong answers here.
Well, I was born right here in Los Angeles. Let's see. Like you said, I'm a photographer. I have been a photographer for the last 6 to 7 years, I believe now. I've worked with a lot of people, been in a lot of rooms, extremely grateful, thankful. Yeah, man, I'm just trying to be great, continue to live, continue to strive.
So you from Gardena, correct?
Born in Gardena.
Born in Gardena.
Born in Gardena. Lived in Inglewood, lived in Compton, lived in Hawthorne.
The good old classic LA story, man. I swear.
LA story.
Everybody I talk to is from LA. They ain't spend time in one place. And I think mainly because of the proximity.
Right.
LA City.
I spent some time in the IE. Came back and
same here.
I'm here now. You know what I mean? So I spent a lot of time bouncing around. So yeah.
Right on. And tell me a little bit about growing up, man. What was it like? You have both parents in the household. Mother not there, father not there. How was that?
Growing up, okay. I had my mom's. You know what I mean? My mom's was, she was there, but, you know what I mean? She had, had her own thing. My dad wasn't there. My dad was, he was alcoholic, but, so I just had my mom's and whoever she dealt with around those times. Had 2 brothers. We're all 5 years apart. So, yeah, that's how it was growing up.
So you say you had two brothers, right?
Right. 2 brothers.
So you mentioned your dad being an alcoholic, which is
right.
That's his own set of challenges.
Right.
And your mother, I guess you could say, trying to find validity in.
Yeah, just trying to find herself.
Take care of her 3 boys.
Exactly. And we all got different daddies. You know what I mean?
Now that's interesting right there.
Right. So I kind of like when Pac said, even though we had different daddies, the same drama, when things were wrong, we blame mama. That was real. That was very real.
Man, I know until you say it right now, right? It never really set in because everybody's mad at moms, but nobody's mad at pop. So tell me about that, man. I mean, because that could be a troubling idea, especially on this show. I've talked to a lot of men, and we talk about the importance of fathers, lack thereof, or
for sure.
So how important do you think that he was and the outcome of who you are today, even though his absence was,
Man. Nah, my dad is definitely his absence was very felt, and his presence when he came back was even more impactful. But growing up in a household where everybody in the house got a different last name, you know what I mean? You got about four people, including my mom, whoever my mom was dating. You know what I mean? 5 people in the household. Everybody got a different last name. So I remember my mom would go to schools, depending on because we were all 5 years apart. 3 boys, all 5 years apart. So depending on what school she was going to, she was Mrs. This or Miss This or Miss This.
Wow.
And technically, none of those names was her name.
Right. Because she had a different last name.
Right. She had a different last name because we all had our father's last name.
Right.
So that was, that was very interesting. Or like you hear the stories, well, yo daddy this, well, yo daddy this, or yo daddy this. You know what I mean? It was crazy because I, knew of my father when I was little, but he wasn't there. So a lot of the memories, when I was younger, was my older brother telling me about my father. Then the same thing went from my little brother, where a lot of his memories were me telling him about his father. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy.
So none of the fathers from you and your brothers end up staying with your mother?
No. Luckily, I was the only one that my father did come back. When I say come back, I actually found him. So my entire family's from Inglewood, California. My mother's side, my father's side. So, and I always knew that. You know what I mean? I always knew of my father's family. It was just he wasn't there. You get what I'm saying?
So like his mom
right, like my cousins and stuff like that. My auntie, he just wasn't there. So, but even with me knowing them, you know what I mean, that presence of me knowing them wasn't very strong because I'm on my mom's side. So it's still like, you know, when you're a kid, you just can't pick up the phone, especially at that time where kids got cell phones today, where you just like, hey, can you come get me? It wasn't that. So, so within that, I always wanted my father. I was always like, you know, I need my pops. I come from child abuse, you know, I mean, through the men that my mother, you know, has been with, you know, I mean, they had abused me pretty bad, you know, I mean, physically.
Was the same type of abuse happening to your other brothers as well, or
one of them? Yeah, my oldest one. So a lot of that was me wanting my dad and I kind of give him credit for this because he kind of gave me an imagination where I kind of take it, I guess you could say I use it in my creative world because I had no choice but to result into being creative and imagining my father being there, trying to escape, you know what I mean, mentally from the child abuse and from the mental abuse that you deal with as a kid when you come from that background. So, like I said, I always wanted my dad. So I had about 14 years old. I was living in IE at the time when my mom's had moved us out to IE. And my dad, he was living right here in Hawthorne. But like I said, my grandmother's house, she always kept that house in Inglewood. So I was like, I told my mom, I said, I got to find my pop, you know. And
you said this around what age?
14.
And once again, another thing that seems to be common is his coming of age.
Right
around that particular time. For myself, I moved with my father when I was 14, 15. So very similar.
Yeah. So I was 14 and it was time. I needed him. I knew I needed him. So I sat out, I wrote a letter. I never forget, my mom's cried the whole night. She did not want me to find this man. She did not want me, because a lot of it, the truth is about to come out.
Right.
On both sides. You get what I'm saying? Because come to find out, my dad never left me. My mom left my dad and she took me. You get what I'm saying? So it wasn't one of those, I can't say I had one of those stories where, you know, daddy walked out, didn't want you, you know, whatever it is. Granted, the fact of he didn't make a case to come back and come get me and find me and make sure I'm okay. That's one thing he didn't do. He just let it ride for whatever reason, which is not okay. You know what I mean? Not when you have a seed out here. But I wrote him a letter, sent it off.
I mean, so you knew where he lived.
I wrote to my grandmother's house.
Okay, gotcha.
His mother's house.
Okay.
You know, it's his mom, so
right, he's gonna get it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's gonna get it. I wrote it to his mother's house, and so I sent it off over there, and I put my house number on the letter. My mom changes the number 3 days later. So she and
plot twist.
Yeah.
And you didn't know?
No. I knew she changed the number, but you know, I was just like, okay. So
interesting.
I'm at football practice. I play football, so I'm at football practice, and you know, I remember, I forget, it was a Friday. I'm coming home, and when I get home, there's a letter sitting right there, and they got my name on it. You know, my name is Thomas Lane Clark III, and it got another name, Thomas Lane Clark Jr. You get what I'm saying? But the letter's open. You know what I mean? My mom's sitting on she's sitting on the couch. Like I said, she said, you got a letter, but I see it's already open. I'm like, you know, I ain't gonna open my mail, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And my mom's sitting there. She got like, you know what I mean? She's scared. She got like a little attitude. You know what I mean? Like, don't, you know what I mean? You know, saying little things with it here and there.
Trying to prepare you for information that you're about to receive.
Right. But it wasn't bad though. You know what I mean? It wasn't, you know what I mean? He was excited. You know, I can't say the letter verbatim because it was 15 years ago. But he was excited, and he put his number down on there. But I never forget right away calling him and being like, Thomas? He's like, yeah. I said, this is Thomas. first thing he's like, "Hey man, like how's it going?" and blah 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 blah. And he's like,
you called him Thomas?
Yeah, I didn't call him Dad.
Interesting. Because it's the first time you talked to him in how long? At this point, how long has it been?
Years, about 10, wow. Not 9, 10 years.
You hadn't even heard his voice?
No, about 9 and 10 years.
Okay.
So it was, you know what I mean? Like it was, at that point he was a stranger. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? So, you know, like this is Thomas, you know what I mean? Even though I don't go by Thomas, right. You know what I mean? I always went by Tommy, like right. My whole life. So but to him, I don't know if he knew that, you know what I mean? So I was like, this is Thomas. He's like, right away, he was excited. He's like, you know, I'm gonna come get you this weekend, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, man, you know what I mean? It was like, he came back like he never left. Right, he was like, right. Okay, like, this is cool. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then we spent the year together and then he died. He passed away. So I only had my pops for about a year. He died when I was 15. So I only had him for about a year.
Incredible.
And but throughout that year, he was trying to prepare me for certain things, almost as if he knew he was dying.
Was it like a terminal illness?
They ruled it a cardiac arrest, but they found him dead. He was dead in his apartment 3 days before they actually found him. Wow. And I do know he was a heavy alcoholic prior, to the point where when he would get me, I don't know, I'm not a doctor or a nurse or none of that, but he'll throw up blood. He had real bad acid reflex where he'll throw up blood. Wow. As he was driving or whatever, or like it'd just be randomly where, you know what I mean? So, you know, he was pretty sick, but I was so young at the time and so much into my own world.
And he telling you that's all good.
Right. Yeah. He's telling me everything is all good, where I'm not really, you know what I mean, understanding, or I'm like, oh, he good. You know what I mean? The first time I seen it, I was like, okay, this is strange. This is new. I've never seen this. But, you know, I thought he was gonna be okay. I never thought my father was gonna die.
So, I mean, so you have him for this year, and this has to be pivotal because you're at this point where you're turning 15.
Right. Exactly.
Now you're starting to smell yourself a little bit.
Yes.
Literally, right? Puberty sitting in.
Everything.
You're turning into a man, right?
Right.
So how pivotal was that 1 year you spent with your father for you?
It was so important because coming from where I come from, we didn't have daddies. When you had a daddy, you had a trophy. Wow. You know what I mean? Like it was cool when you go back to your mama crib and your friends is telling you like, yeah, your mom told me you was with your dad. You're like, yeah, I was with my dad.
That's
crazy. It was
like,
yeah, because like they didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? And like, so like even when I went back home with my brothers, they didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? Like they couldn't say like they was gonna go see their dad or their dad was gonna go pick them up, or they didn't have that. And I only had it for about a year, but it was like I just won a championship game. I feel like Kobe after the repeat.
You know, it's crazy that it's supposed to be something that is normal.
Right. It's a privilege where I come from.
It's a privilege to have a father in our generation, right?
Right.
You were born if you grew up in the 90s, you were born in the 80s, 90s. There was a whole, even the 70s, it was a whole missing father.
For sure.
To me, it was a 30-year pandemic, if you ask me, for the black family.
Yeah.
So how did this you and your brother's relationship, because there was no men in the house. I mean, it was always or different men, should I say. How did that bond, or did it break y'all as brothers?
Unfortunately, it didn't help us. You know what I mean? Because due to the mental and physical abuse that was going on in our household, we kind of had to figure it out on our own and make our own path. And granted, the fact that we're all 5 years apart, so you already got that age difference where, okay, because none of us went to school together. When you're that big of a, you know what I mean? Right. It's almost like a generational thing to a degree, because you're quite not there and you're quite not there. Now I'm in the middle.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? I'm not hanging with my little brother and his little friends.
Right.
And my older brother, he doing his thing. He doing his thing. You know what I mean? He out doing his thing and whatnot. So I had to like get my crew. You know what I'm saying? And to a sense, create my own brothers. You know what I mean? And so we all went down different paths. So we never truly had that real bond. You know what I mean? And
even though y'all was in the same household.
Even though we was in the same household. And a lot of it with my older brother, we was in the same household, but we wasn't, because he was in and out. You get what I'm saying? My little brother, you know what I mean? It's like I said, I'm not finna hang with you know what I mean, with his little friends.
Right.
I'm out here trying to play football. I'm out here,
You
know what I
15,
mean?
he's 10.
Right,
It's not the
exactly.
same.
Right. I'm trying to play football. I'm trying to hang with my boys, you
Mhm.
know what I mean, and whatever it is that we doing. And now I got my dad here, so I got a whole different other side of my family at this point. You get what I'm saying? And I never, like I said, I always wanted my dad. So mentally, I was always there regardless.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
So last two things on this, and we're gonna move past this, but what's something that within that 1 year, because you only had your father for 1 year,
Mhm.
literally you had a father for a year at the age of 14.
Right.
What's something that he did teach you within that 12-month period that you had with him?
Man, it's crazy because I always would say this because I always feel, and I lost a lot of people throughout my life. I always feel like death brings you closer to the person because you have no choice but to lean on their words because they're no longer here. I can't call you anymore, so I have to lean on everything that I know that you said, even though it may not seem I was paying attention at the time. It's like little things, just keep living, you're gonna find out. You know what I mean? Always taking information. It's funny, even when it comes down to my dad, he had a thing where he'll open and close car doors for women. You know what I mean? That was his thing. And the backgrounds and stuff that I really come from, we didn't do that, or I didn't see that. Like, that's like, being a gentleman didn't exist. You get what I'm saying? And I used to, at 14 and at 15, I would tell him, like, what is you doing? Like, why is you doing that? But he was telling me, he said, son, I'm doing this for you. I'm trying to teach you how to treat a woman. You get what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I ain't never doing that. You know what I mean? I was like, man, that's, you know what I mean? Because that's not where I come from. That's not who I thought I was. But he told me, he said, one day you're going to meet a woman that you really going to love, you really going to care for, and you're going to find yourself doing it. And I did that. You know what I mean? I found that person that I did, and it's funny because I could just hear him like in my head, like laughing at me. Like, see, told you. I can hear that laugh. Like, told you, Junior. I told you. So that's a lot of things. You know what I mean?
You know, I'm happy to hear that, man, because it's an experience, right?
For sure.
We got to give mothers credit because they did it by themselves, right? They get the utmost.
Right.
Know?
They did what they knew. Yeah.
Yeah, they did what they knew, and they made sure you were clothed, fed, and
for sure.
They did the everyday work that doesn't get glorified as much, right? But when fathers come in for that one Disneyland trip, we never forget it, right? which is always the situation,
right?
But like I said, last thing on this, I want to talk about. I want to ask you about your brothers and their fathers,
right?
Because did you get to meet them, or were they around,
okay.
or how did the relationship go there?
You know, I never met my oldest brother's father, and that's his story to tell as far as their relationship. Now, my little brother's father, unfortunately, with my little brother's father, and it is what it is, and he passed away as well. It's crazy. He passed away 2 years after my father did, but my little brother never had any real dialogue with his pops. But his dad, unfortunately, he he shook a lot of stuff up in my household. You know what I mean? Went through a lot of physical abuse. You know what I mean? Not just him, he wasn't the only one. You know what I mean? It was another man that my mother, you know what I mean, but he started that, you know what I mean, because when he came about, I was about 4 years old or so. So he was, you can say, that first male influence in my life.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And it is what it is, he tried to break me, you know what I mean? And it wasn't, like I said, not just him, you know what I mean? I can't really blame him for that, you know what I mean? Because my mother, she had to allow it, you know what I mean? She didn't stop it. So him as well as my oldest brother, like I said, I'm gonna let, you know what I mean, that's their story to tell. But So yeah,
No, I mean, because that's and the reason why I asked you because that's part of your experience as well,
right.
not
Oh
just
yeah,
your
for
father, right?
sure.
You're
For
experiencing
sure.
you see your brothers going through something similar.
You can almost say my little brother's dad was the first father figure I ever had. You get what I'm saying?
Is there anything that he taught you?
Only thing I can say is what my mother's, I mean, like I said, not just my little brother's father, but the man she chose to be with after. They taught me what I did not want to be as a man, as a person. But it's crazy though, because they actually was trying to teach me how to be. But I took the other route and they just showed me more or less of what I don't want to be.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, man, let's switch speeds a little bit here, and I want to go into you as a professional. You've been behind the camera for how long?
6 to 7 years now. It's been about 6, 7 years. Roughly.
6, 7 years. Yeah. So, did you end up? So you graduated high school. What high school did you graduate from?
Like I said, I was down in IE. I just graduated from Fontana High.
I went to Etiwanda for a little bit.
Okay.
So, okay. So I was next door.
Okay. Yeah. You know what's funny? Like I really don't know too much the ins and outs of the IE, so I never knew where Etiwanda was.
Yeah.
I never people say certain things about the IE. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, but everybody know. They heard of it, right?
Right. Yeah, I know Darren Collison went there.
I guess it's a big basketball school.
Right. I know Darren Collison went there. I do know that. So yeah.
So I went there for the first 2 years. So I got some experience. I lived out there a little bit as well. So you graduated from Faux High, and what's next? You go to college? Do you just kind of figure out?
Okay, this is where So I was in and out of college at the time. I was in and out trying to figure it out. And while I'm trying to figure it out,
which college are you at? What school are you at?
I went to California Baptist in Riverside.
I know what Cal Baptist is, right?
So I'm trying to figure it out, but at the same time, I'm at this Christian school, but at the same time, I'm still trying to make some money. You know what I mean? So I'm running the streets as well. Not saying I'm like deep, but I'm deep enough where I can get myself, I'm into some trouble. Then, throughout high school, you kind of find your path in that. And it's funny, not to result back into the whole father thing, but not having a father. When a boy doesn't have a father, anybody doesn't have a father, you're going to find that father figure. You're going to be searching for it wherever it's at. So at the time, I'm searching for myself, and I'm actually searching for guidance. So a lot of it, you're hanging out, hanging out with your homies, you're hanging out with just different people, different crowds, trying to figure out where you at. You know what I mean? And fortunately enough for me, I always played on the borderline. I call it a borderline, where I'm like, okay, this is cool, and this is cool too, but I just don't know exactly where I'm at and where I want to be. So I ended up going to this one community college called Chaffey.
I went to Chaffey for semester.
Right. So what I was at Chaffey, ended up dropping out, still trying to figure stuff out. Then I ended up going to a trade. So through that trade, I was able to get a bachelor's degree. Then I transferred to Cal Baptist. But at the same time, I'm still like trying to figure it out. So it's like,
and you hadn't yet picked up a camera by this point?
No.
Okay.
No. I know I'm kind of bouncing around.
What were you going to school for?
Business.
Okay.
Then I went to California Baptist for communications.
Okay.
So while I'm at Baptist, I do find myself kind of changing, because now you're required to go to chapel 2 days out of the week. You're required to do certain things, you know what I mean, where you're like, okay, like, and then along the way, friends start dying, more friends start going to jail. It's like, okay, like, I have a picture. It's me and 3 other of my friends. I'm the only one that ain't never been to jail. Like actually did time.
Right.
Like I've been in cuffs and stuff like that, and detained. And even as a kid, like I had my mom in and out of courtrooms getting tickets. My first time I ever got detained and had handcuffs on me, I was 10 years old.
Wow.
In the 5th grade, the police actually came to the school. Me and another young black male had a fist fight during recess. They put us in the office and detained both of us, gave us tickets, and everything. My mom,
10, huh?
Yeah, at 10 years old.
Wow.
However old you're at in the 5th grade.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, I had to go to court. My mom had to pay a fine. All types of stuff. It was very much real. So I have been, through the legal system, but never to a point where I'm actually, exactly, where I'm actually taking years off my life. I never did, or taking days or months. I never got too far deep through the grace of God. So when I got the Baptist, I was like, okay, let's try to figure something out. So one morning, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was one morning, one night, I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a camera. And that's what I did. I went down to Best Buy, bought this. I think the camera only cost about $400 at the time or something like that. And bought the camera. I remember never forget sitting on my bed and I'm just playing with it, not knowing what I'm doing.
Of course, right. No idea. I mean?
Right. I'm shooting everything in auto.
Right.
And I never forget, I was just walking the mall. I used to have the camera around my neck, just walk everywhere with the camera, no matter where I was at, just snapping pictures. Then I decided, like, you know what? Then I started going on Melrose, doing the same thing. Then I start looking up certain places where to be at, start doing the same thing. Then, start getting, at this time, I'm not making any money, not making $1. But through my past life, I did have money saved. You get what I'm saying? Through other things that I have done in the past, I was somewhat okay. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Not, I wasn't
living.
You gonna
eat and pay your rent.
Right. Eat, pay my rent. You know what I mean? That's all I was doing. I was okay, but I was making all withdrawals and no deposits.
Yeah, it changed. Right. I've been there.
So I was making all withdrawals, no deposits, but I was okay. I had my car. I had a Benz. I had my car. I had some money in the bank. I had this camera. I said, this is what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to settle. I'm going to do it. And the only reason I was able to really do it is because I didn't have no responsibilities. It was just me. You get what I'm saying? I didn't have no kids. It was, everything's on me. If I don't eat today, I just don't eat.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? That's what it was.
Right,
and I was comfortable with that.
Yeah, I accept that.
Right. To the point, at times, I would pack extra clothes in my trunk just in case I got to get here, I got to get here. So the point where I open my trunk, you see about 5 pairs of shoes.
In there too, right?
You see this, you see that. It's like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? But I was just trying to get it. You get what I'm saying? So the more and more you keep showing your face, the more and more you kept putting yourself out there, people start recognizing you. Like, who is this? You know what I mean? Who is this? And they start, you know what I mean? Conversations start to be had of what's your rates and this and that. I ain't got no rates. You know what I mean? I don't know the first thing about photography business.
Right.
But I do got a business degree, though. That's the crazy part. But it's a different type of scale on how to scale a photo shoot, an event, just, lifestyle, whatever. You know what I mean?
There's no statistical analysis for how good this photo is.
Not at all. Right. Not at all. So I'm still trying to find my way. I didn't know how I was going to find my way. But I was literally still trying to find my way. My family actually owns Woody's Barbecue down on Slauson and Crenshaw.
Really?
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So
you the person I need to talk to. All right, now I was missing the rib last time, man. That's what's up, man. I'm there all the time. Tracy, I'm literally up in there all the time. So I'll make sure I mention you next time I go.
Yeah. Shout out to my auntie Tracy. Man, my mama be up there. And I was actually raised in that parking lot.
Right.
I'll be in that parking lot. My mom be in there cooking. My auntie Tracy be in there running the business and everything like that. And my Uncle Greg. And spend a lot of time up there. So I say that to say this. Like, I will see Nipsey all the time. Because the marathon is right. The marathon starts right there. You get what I'm saying? And then this is at a time early on when I used to see Nipsey. He was like getting out the mud himself. You know what I mean? Like, but I really, you know what I mean, didn't know him to be Nipsey Hussle, who he is today. Right.
He was still.
And, right. So I didn't know him to be that, but I used to see him like walk around, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. I used to see actually Sam, his brother Sam, taking out the trash. You know, his dad used to work. So I used to see him. So then I'm like, maybe I should try the music thing out. You know what I mean? But I still don't know. And I really didn't even know how to approach him. So I'm on Melrose at this point, and I'm just shooting and whatever, running to Nip. I'm like, hey Nip, can I get a flick? You know what I mean? Mind if I flick? He's like, yeah, go ahead. Like that, right? Then he stopped me, like, wait. He's like, what is for? I'm like, it's for me. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I ain't got nowhere to send it to, you know what I mean? Just for me, just for me to have. He's like, yeah, go ahead. He said, you know what? Take my number down too. I'm like, all right, bet. You know what I mean? He took my number down. He said, holla at me, whatever. And we chopped it. We got to chopping it up about, because he did a show, the Smokers Tour was years ago, in 2011. If I'm not mistaken, it was at the Club El Rey. And this is the day before the actual marathon came out. So we were actually chopping it up about that. And we were just hollering. He said, Guinea, and I'll never forget his last words to me was like, holla at me. And he like, send me the pictures, holla at me. So I'm like, cool. I'm thinking like this would be cool. I can, you know what I mean? The first thought in your head when you first get into it, like, damn, I'm probably gonna be, you know what I mean, with Nip. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It didn't work out that way. You know what I mean? That was, you know what I mean? It wasn't our last encounter, but it wasn't one of our last conversations. But that was big for me because it was like, maybe I am on the right path. Maybe I am, you know what I mean, going in the right direction. So,
you know, I just want to add to that. That's dope that Nipsey, who was so influential in the city of LA, is a part of, who's inspired so many people to do certain things, right? Including myself. You got to have a real interaction, and it inspired you to do what you do now. Because though we mentioned Nipsey Hussle, you've worked for a lot of celebrities.
Right. No, yeah, I'm about to get into that. So it wasn't too much longer after that where I got a plug to actually be with Wale. And I was with Wale for like at least 6 months. Shout out to Big West, which is Wale's manager. I got a phone call from my boy Rashad at the time. He's like, hey, Wale, they're looking for a photographer. You know, are you available? I say, yeah. They tell me what studio to pull up. I pull up to the studio at the time. Then, you know what I mean, I was in there just shooting flicks and whatever. Start chopping it up, just being myself. And next thing you know, I'm now I'm with Wale. And to bring the story for me full circle back with Nip was that we're down at I think the studio was called Paramount. I think it's called Paramount over there off Santa Monica, I believe. But could be wrong. But we're at the studio. We're upstairs. Nipsey downstairs. I'm with Wale at the time, and they're like, you know, somebody come up like, you know, Nipsey need to tell Wale, Nipsey downstairs, like we should, you know, what I mean, you see, say go in there if you know whenever you free. So Wale like, all right, Wale finished up with his verse or whatever he was doing. He's like, all right, let's go downstairs. You know what I mean? So I grab my camera, whatever. We go downstairs. I'm walking in, and remember, my very, very first encounter, like I told you, he was the day before. I was at the concert the day before the marathon drop. So at this point, we walk in the studio. He's working on Victory Lap. And when we walk in the studio, we shake hands and whatever. Then we chop it up again about like, you know what I mean? About, you know, about that concert. And then the other conversation we had on Melrose. Now I'm back again. And now he's actually working on his album. And it's like almost like everything went full circle. And it was just cool having that conversation with him again. He was like, it's cool that you were Wale. He said at the time I wasn't really doing anything. And I don't know if we probably would, you know what I mean, probably would have, you know how the business works, where we probably would have never, but we was able to exchange those words. And I still have those photos of all those, you know, of all those memories from the Melrose to him in the studio with Wale. But I just remember he was the first person to actually give me his number, you know, even though we never worked together, but it was almost like, he gave me that confidence for, you know what I mean, that little something that you need sometimes to keep going.
Yeah.
He gave it to me. That little bit where I don't know if this is going to be, but he gave it to me right then and there. So, and a shout out to Wale for even allowing me to be under his wing for that duration of time of me just being there. Put me on my first video shoot, my first concert backstage, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, where I'm like moving around, you know what I mean? Just had me with him. You get what I'm saying? Until, you know what I mean? Until it was time to move on, you know what I mean? And that's what I constantly did, was just move on. And I was able to just maneuver throughout the business where
because you got some I mean you got some credits, man. Go ahead. Go ahead and name drop. It's all good. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
No, I just been very fortunate, and shout out to my boy TG Ty Gurley. I got plugged with him. And
so how'd you get plugged with Ty Gurley?
TG, man. This story is pretty funny.
He owe me some money, by the way, but we're gonna
but on the fantasy?
Yeah, he owe me some money, man.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
So okay. It's about some years ago now. So I get a call. My boy Gerald, he's like, hey man. And I'm never big into sneaking in parties. This is not my thing. I don't do it. I don't like to do it. I'm like, I'm cool. So I'm at the house chilling. My boy Gerald calls me. He's like, hey man, I hear Von Miller and Odell Beckham having a party. I'm thinking he called me because he telling me let's go with him. You know what I mean? Like he got the plug. We going in. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, all right, bet I'll roll with you. He said, we gotta sneak in. I'm like, what? I'm like, no, bro, I'm not sneaking in. No, like, no, right. Not gonna happen. I'm sitting there, right? Time going by. I'm like, damn, man, I'm kind of bored. I'm bored. Like, ain't nothing happening. So I call him back, like, what time you think about going?
Right.
Like, what time you think about going? He said, I forgot what time he said it was, but he's like, around this time. I said, all right. But at the same time, I'm still on the borderline of not wanting to go. So anyway, I'm trying to do everything in my power of trying to make this very difficult for me not to go. Not knowing this is about to be one of the biggest opportunities I ever, came encounter to it in my life at that point. So I'm trying to do everything in my power not to go. So I say, you know what? Pull up to my house, and we're gonna go from my house. I'm trying to make this hard for him. Like, I'm trying to have him jump through obstacles.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we could think about, like, what we about to do.
Right.
So he pulls up to my house. We better get him. No, because I told him he's supposed to drive. That's what happened. I was like, pull up to my house. I'm gonna hop in your car, and we're gonna go. He pulls up to my house. I flipped the script on him. Say, you know what? I'm finna drive, but I needed gas. So I had to stop at a gas. So I had to stop at a gas station. So he's like, all right, I'm finna go. I said, all right, I'm finna meet you out there. I stop at the gas station, and he's already heading there. So we finally get to the location, wherever the house was, in the hills. So he's already snuck in. He's in. I'm like, damn, I'm still getting out the car. I'm like, I have never really did this before. Like, security finna be on me. This finna be embarrassing. So I'm like, all right. So I actually see, it's funny, I don't know if Sharif O'Neal would even remember this. Cause you're supposed to, how these parties in the hills work, you're supposed to find somewhere to park or like you find somewhere to park and you're supposed to Uber up.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's a shuttle that goes up.
Uh-huh.
So I park. Sharif O'Neal parks right in front of me.
That's
Shaq's son.
Shaq's son, right?
Shaquille O'Neal's son.
Uh-huh.
So he parks right in front of me, and I parallel behind him, and obviously it's Shaq's son, so he good. You know what I mean? Right. Back in my head, I'm like,
he going.
Yeah, he's straight. And I'm like, damn, how the hell I got this camera on me? I had my camera on me, so I got the camera on me.
That's the golden ticket right there.
Right. So Sharif O'Neal, as I'm like trying to walk up, and like this is a walk. There's a reason why they tell you to Uber up or shuttle up, because it's a walk up the hill. And I'm like sweating up this hill. I'm like, bruh, like this is like, I'm like, all right. I see Sharif O'Neal drive in the Uber, just drive. He passed me up. I'm like, he looking at me, I'm looking at him. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, bro, you could have, you know what I mean? I'm like, all right. I'm still trying to, the next thing I know, I see YG. Okay. I see YG. YG had the Lamborghini at the time. I see YG, the drop top Lamborghini. He pulling up. Then there's a big black truck behind YG. So I'm like literally, and this is the first time I'm actually telling this story on camera. I am walking on the side of this truck, so security can't see me. I don't know who's in this truck. No clue. Security sees me. They ask whoever's in that truck, is he with you? Whoever's in that truck says, yeah. So security's like, okay, you're good. They let me up. I'm in there.
So you don't know who's in the truck?
No.
To this day?
No. I know now.
Okay.
The story gonna get crazy.
Okay.
I know now. So I'm in the party. I'm just, just vibing. I know people actually in this party.
Mhm.
Actually, I actually know people. So I'm like, going around, shaking hands, giving hugs and whatever. So, as the night goes on, I see TG, I snap a picture of him and YG. And I don't know no, he didn't give me his number at that time. I posted it on my story. He's seen it and he liked it. I said, if you ever need anything, bro, just holla at me. He said, I'm going to a Galaxy game today. Galaxy, soccer, LA Galaxy. He said, want to go? I said, yeah. My grandma lived right here and was living right here in Compton at the time. He said it was in Dominguez.
So y'all DMing at this point.
Right, we're DMing right away the next day. So I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'll take my camera, go to the game, shoot the game, whatever. From that day, we were together all, the whole time.
So why did he invite you to a Galaxy game though?
I guess at the time he was already looking for a photographer, a person photographer at the time. Okay. You know what I mean? He was already on search for that. And so we so we went to the Galaxy game, met up with him at the Galaxy game, and that's all she wrote when it came down to our relationship at that time. We were just together. So to bring the story back, we're in Cabo. Me and him are in Cabo, and we're talking about that party. I say, man, I remember I had to sneak in that party, that truck behind me. He said, wait, that was you? And he said, it was actually TG in the damn car telling security, yeah, he with us. That let me in the party. He didn't know that was me on the side that was sneaking in. I didn't know that was him in the car that let me, that told security I was good.
That's crazy. And I'm glad you shared that story because all of those stories started with Nipsey all the way through because it's truly true that 75% of success, probably more, is just showing up.
Yeah, timing. Timing is everything. Because listen, if it goes back date to my boy, if I would have rolled with my boy, moment would have, would have been gone. If I would have, if I had gas in my car and didn't need to stop at a gas station, time was off.
But not only that, but also the confidence to even go and ask these people for photos, go and ask them for the picture, right? Because that 3-second question, that 3 seconds of your life changed everything.
Right.
So it's just incredible how timing, like you said, timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
Timing and what you do in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you not posted that picture, if you didn't post it,
right?
If you don't post that picture with YG,
right, and TG,
TG, and you don't post it in your story, that don't happen. You probably was thoughtless about it. You like, oh, I just want to show people.
Yeah. I was just like, like it really wasn't that big of a deal for me. It was just like, because I was already at that time working with, you can say figures, whether right. They were in the music industry. I was already in sessions with Sweetie at the time. Mm-hmm. Like I was there when Sweetie made My Type. I was literally in the studio when she made that song. So I was already, at that point, navigating around. So that was just another day at the office for me. Mm. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It wasn't that big of a deal at that, at that time. But that picture did change the whole, did change everything up until this day. You
Especially
get what I'm
saying? At the time, because he was right. Like, he was the hottest thing on the market.
Exactly. You got talking about the Super Bowl run. Yeah. You're talking about everything. Todd Gurley was, that was LA's biggest at the time after Kobe Bryant. TG took over LA in the sports world. It was him.
Because there was no LeBron James here.
No. Bron wasn't here.
No, Todd Gurley was everything, for sure.
Yeah, he had LA, and I believe Kobe Bryant told him when Kobe was retiring, he told him, like, you're next. You know what I mean? It's your time now.
Yeah. I ain't gonna ask you no person because we all want to know about the leg. We gonna ask him. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's you know what I mean. That's
So yeah, man. Just want to switch speeds again here, man. Stories, man. I appreciate all that you've been sharing. Just how you've been vulnerable and sharing your experience because people need to hear those moments, right? Because they be like, I ain't gonna go, man. It ain't gonna happen. But just sometimes I'm sitting there and I'll be like, let me just go because if I don't go, then nothing happens, right?
Right.
So you just recently made your first short film.
Yes, I did.
All right, I got an opportunity. You sent it to me a few days ago, or you allowed me to watch it a few days ago. I do appreciate that. It's not out yet.
Yeah, no, it's not out yet.
When is it released? Because people may see this at different time.
Okay, I'm pushing for a release date late August, early September. I'm still trying to work that out. Everything is done, it's shot, it's ready to go. I'm just trying to see how I want to put it out. You know what I mean? But it is coming out. It's coming within the next month and a half or so.
So a little backstory behind this, because we was able to talk a little bit about the film. It is rooted from a relationship that that you recently had, which is no longer.
Yeah.
And as from what your words, it sparked the depression, right? Along with some other things, of course. Right. But it also, from out of that, you was able to go into a new realm of your now videography at this point, right?
Yeah, director. Yeah, I wouldn't say videography, just more of a director, more of a writer. Yeah, it's something, you know, a relationship that I love. I still love to this day. You know what I mean? I still love for this day. Sometimes I still yearn for it. But it caused me to create something. Yeah, you know what I mean? And actually like fall it's like falling in love twice. You know what I mean? It allowed me to exhale.
Yeah.
Because
you know, we discussed this, and I'm only going to talk about what we discussed, but is rooted in heartbreak, right? And
right.
And we're going to talk about
heartbreak and happiness.
Okay,
heartbreak and happiness.
I like that.
I like more of the happiness. I wouldn't even say heartbreak, because you know what I mean. Yeah, you know, by it being no longer, does it? You know what I mean? Obviously, it hurts, but it's happiness because I fell in love with a person. I'm still in love with a person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
But you actually got to experience it and see what it was.
For sure. You know what I mean? You know, especially like when you meet that person that, you know, that's, you know, my favorite person walking the earth. You know what I mean? My favorite person. Yeah.
So, just in relation to the film, because I do want to get into this emotional aspect of it, because that's where it was all sparked from, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about how your relationship with this person for almost a year or so, right?
Yeah, a little less. 7 months. Yeah.
7 months, okay. And we talked about this the other day, right? Men don't like falling in love. No. We don't like it because of this right here, right? We don't like. We can't deal with heartbreak as well as women. We're just not. We're not used to it, because you know we kind of come in real cold.
It takes us a while to get there and to accept what's happening
first, right? Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna tell you how long I've been with my girl before I made it official, right?
Right.
So how was that? I mean, for men out there, or for women out there who think that men don't experience heartbreak or don't experience the woes of a relationship ending.
Man, I'll say on my personal experience, from the start of it, I knew. I'm gonna say this. I knew. You can almost say I knew I loved her from the first time I seen her. It was like one of those, like, who is that? You know what I mean? Like, who's, you know what I mean? Who is that? You know what I mean? And my boy's like, oh, that's, you know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
I need that.
Yeah. Right. I need her.
Right.
I need her, and not in the sexual sense.
No, I got you.
It's just like, it was almost like a spiritual sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I like, please, like, you know what I mean? And the crazy thing about it was, I said, who is she? You know what I mean? And I thought it was a lost cause, because my boy, I said, bro, like, do you have, you know what I mean? Because we were at a party, and you know how that go.
Right.
And now I was feeling real ill at the time. I had a real bad headache. I was feeling real ill at the time. And I never forget, I get real bad migraines from a previous incident that happened to me, that my head would get the pound. So I'm at this party, and I'm like slouching. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, if I might have to leave if I don't get it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember staring off, and I see my boy over there in the corner, and he's talking to this girl. I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, who's that? But I'm like, is that him?
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's him now, right?
Right. I'm like, damn, like, whoo. So anyway, like when I seen her, it was almost like I seen the only person in the room, because I had to sit up a little bit. I'm like, I sit up, because I'm like, first I'm holding my head like this, and I sit up. I'm like, then I see, like, you know what I mean? Then throughout the night, I was able to get the strength to get up. I was like, bro, like, who was that girl you were talking to? He said, what girl? I said, the girl, you know what I mean, that was wearing, you know, what she was wearing. He was like, oh, that's such and such. I said, is that you? He said, nah, that's not me. I said, you have any, like, you know, you got a contact on her or anything? He said, nah. I said, she got an Instagram? He said, nah, she don't be on the gram. Like, I said, she ain't got no Instagram. I said,
he's like, this getting better.
No, it's getting worse because I'm like, I'm never gonna find this girl. Right. I'm never gonna find this girl. Right. I said, this is it, and that's that. Like, this is done. So the next day rolls around, I get on the phone with him, and I'm having like I lock my keys in the house, so I'm having like my day is like, oh, like this is just terrible. Right. So anyway, I get on the phone with him. I'm like, bro, I just locked my keys in my house. He said, guess who? He said, guess who DM'd me? Such and such DM'd me. I said, I thought she said she don't have no Instagram. He said, I thought she didn't, but she did. I said, send that to me now. I said, send that to me now. I forgot about me being locked out of my house. None of that mattered. I didn't care about no keys. I didn't care about I had to call a locksmith and pay $100 to get back into my apartment. Send that to Instagram now. He sends it over. You know what I mean? I added her. But when you ask somebody, whatever, you got to give them the context of how you found them. Because our page is private. So I had to get a context. I'm like, well, I'm not a weirdo, but I seen you at the party. You were talking to such and such, such and such. And she was like, okay, I was trying to figure out how you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, you try to build up that dialogue where you try to, actually meet this person for real. You get what I'm saying? But you know how women are, it's the internet, it's Instagram. So they're kind of like trying to play you to the side. Like,
because everybody's out there.
Yeah. You don't know where this is going. I don't even know where this is going. So I was persistent for about 2 weeks. And I was telling my boss, I said, man, I don't know, man. I ain't getting no traction. So I might have to go ahead and leave it where it is. But something told me just, don't stop. Then one time I hit her, then we agreed to meet up for a date, and that's all she wrote, man.
Yeah. When you get that, men will get what they want. Yeah, because we are that's our
that's all she wrote.
That's our superpower.
Right.
If we see something we want, goals, dreams.
Yeah, for sure. Ambitious. I always say this, and I'm a strong believer in this. It doesn't take a man 6 months to a year to find out if he wants to be with a woman or not, or he wants to. Well, at least for me, you know what I mean? Like, I have never, especially in this situation, I have never been so much certain, not in my mind, in my body, where I was like, this thing aligns.
Right.
But I was scared within that because I've been through so much of being unstable in my situations in my childhoods that I did not know how to sustain sustain anything, especially this situation where it's like, it's so good that this is gonna slip through my fingertips because I'm gonna slip up.
Right. And then there comes self-sabotage.
Right. And that's what happened. And I said, and you know what I mean? Not to say that's what all would happen.
Right. But
I had my own, I played my own roles and I allowed my fears of being so
preparing
scared
for the downfall.
Right. Where you do. Then when you try to prevent the downfall, now you try to control. You try to control the situation. Well, if I can control it, she loves me. She loves me enough. I know she loves me. And you thinking that she loves you enough that she'll allow you to control the whole situation. You know what I mean? Of like not being controlling of what you can and can't do, just being controlling of this is what it is. And you're not just letting the wave ride.
So let me ask you, so when creating the film, right, now you have all this perspective now on this, right? Without, having a successful relationship and then ending unsuccessfully, you wouldn't have the perspective. It wouldn't exist, correct?
Right.
So now you have this project that comes out of that. How much accuracy is in this project from your real situation?
Okay. I'll say on my end, every word is accurate on my end. Now, how I portrayed it, I'll say it's very accurate, but another person can perceive it or can have a different way of looking at it where I didn't, where somebody else could be like, there's two sides to a story. Even though I tried to paint out the most beautiful story I possibly could. One person could be like, oh, it was way more than, like, she could come out and be like, there was way more than that as far as, as far as how she took it. Or she could be like, it was like way less than that.
Well, yeah, you put 7 months into,
But I tried to paint out the most accurate depiction that I possibly can because I was trying to relive everything in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? I was trying to relive it, and I still try to relive it every day. I wake up and I smile to myself about those memories, and I get mad at myself about, damn, why'd you do that? You know what I mean?
So and I don't want to give away the film, right? But there's a particular scene in there where you come home to a letter.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, and it's a letter from your girlfriend, right?
Saying that, right. Yes.
This is how we're ending it. How accurate was that? A real situation?
Okay.
Or was that for
the letter's not 100% accurate.
Okay.
Things were said in the letter. Some things, yes, were said, but that letter, no, that's not accurate at all.
I mean, but if there was a letter, though,
no, there was no letter.
Okay.
I just had to on film. I did not want to bring. We see enough altercations, and there was no real bad, but we see enough of that, what I mean, in real life.
I
see. Know what I mean? I just had to give a depiction of, where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? If you listen, like, we don't want to give too much away. In the beginning of it, you do hear a female's voice. And the first thing I will say the first thing she says is, and this is very accurate, Tommy, you're not listening. Tommy,
that is right. Yep.
I need you to listen to me before he comes home. Before I come home,
right?
Speaking to myself like I'm
right. I got you right. Yeah, well, you are in that.
Before I come home to a letter, the first thing that said is, Tommy, you're not listening. Tommy, you need to listen. That is very true. That is very accurate.
So what category would you put this film in? Like, would you put it in drama? Would you put it in romance? Would you?
It has everything in it. It has everything because it has a lot of romance. It has a lot of drama. No, when you say drama, it's just more of the drama of, can't give it away, but I'll put it under both those categories. I'll put it under drama and love because but I would like to see. I like for people to take the more love out of it because that's what it got created out of. That's what it was made out of. It was made out of love, and that's where my heart draws to it is the love. You know what I mean? And the drama part, only reason why the whole drama part came about it in the film is because out of love, out of what didn't need to happen or what you should have did.
Now, you named the film
Sid,
which is
Sincerely Yours, Darling. But yes, you know what I mean. Yes, it is her name. Yes, yeah,
and that's on purpose.
Yes,
correct. Okay, and you said that she hasn't seen it, right?
No, no, she has not seen it. No,
and I gotta ask you. I actually just off camera, but I actually on camera. What do you think she's gonna say when she sees this?
I don't know.
She might see this right here too.
Yeah, she very much so. I don't know. One thing I will say this is I hope that she can see the love in it, see the care, and not to say to get the person back or nothing like that, but to see it was created out of love and out of when, like I said in the beginning, it says, Tommy, you're not listening. Tommy, you need to listen. I hope she understands that I'm listening. You know what I mean? I heard everything you're saying. I was just very scared. You get what I'm saying? And I tried to, and I self-sabotage of trying to control the situation when I should have just let the waves flow like I should have.
I heard something before that always stuck with me. It says when we start finding solutions, or when we're done finding solutions to problems, we start finding problems to solutions. Because we always, as humans, we always feel like we need something. You got to fix something.
Right.
There's something to be done.
Right.
And sometimes there's nothing to do. You just allow.
Right. Time.
Yeah, time. And I think that's huge, man. Like I said, I was able to see. I appreciate you sharing with me, giving me the early access to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
checking it out.
Exclusive. And I'm not done. It's the first of many.
And that's what I was going to say next. That you are already in the process of making.
Of making Sincerely Tommy,
which is the part 2 to this.
Yeah, it's a part 2 to this. It's another story. It's another story.
And is this your first time acting?
Yes. Can't say. I don't know. I don't know this is going to be a reoccurring thing, but it is my first time acting because in the particular space that you're talking about that I did decide to do it in, I felt like I'm the only one that could have drew that emotion. I had to get there. I had to be that for this. But yeah, I'm not done. I have a lot more to do. I have a lot more to write. I have a lot more to show. I have a lot more to share. And I just, like, the name is Sid, Sincerely Yours, Darling, but it's, I hope you understand my love letter. And saying that I hope you can understand where this is coming from. I hope you can understand, not just to the person who you can say who it was made for, but to the others around me, to my mother, to my friends, my brothers, you know what I mean, my family, where, like, okay, maybe let me give you the inside of my brain, where my words may not do you justice, but I hope my vision will.
Interesting. Right. Another way to express it.
Right. And it was very important for me to name this that, because Sid, I was like, because how the whole movie, and don't want to get too deep, but how the whole movie even came about. It was a poem. It was never supposed to be a short film. It was never even supposed to be a visual. It was just something I had written after a conversation I had. It was something I had written after a conversation me and the person had. And
we all know her name now, so
right.
Ain't no point of
yeah, but it was a conversation me and her had, and we got off the phone, and I was just like, man, this is, I can't believe it got here. So the only thing I did was write, and the poem was called Remembering Love. And it was me remembering the intimate good times, not the times we're out spending money, not the times that we're just out living life. No, the times where you're at home chilling. You know what I mean? You just basketball shorts, t-shirts, sweatpants. Right. You know what I mean? The times that matter. You know what I mean? The times that you have to really like a person or really love a person to be in this, you know what I mean, in this space. Because you know what I mean? And it was just about that. And it went from me writing it to me seeing it, this becoming a visual. You get what I'm saying? So it was a visual in my brain where I'm replaying this, in my head with me and her, to the point where I want to see this on my TV.
Right.
This needs to be shown.
I want to see it.
I actually want to see it, because it was already made. I just had to show it. So it went from a phone call to one of my buddies. I was like, hey, I need you to be this DP for me, and I'm gonna bring in an actress and an actor to reenact my words, and I'm gonna narrate it. It's gonna be a story. So it went from that. We shot it the first time. I did not like the first time I shot it. So I was like, we're gonna enhance this. We're gonna bring in a different type of camera. We're gonna bring in different type of, just different feels. So it went from that to us, pre-production and getting ready for that, to where I kind of wanted to add to the story, and that Remembering Love. And as I'm trying to add to the story, I have a conversation with my boy Chris Paul Thompson and my boy Campaign that, we're a part of Remembering Love. And there was like, no, I think you should just leave the story where it's at. You should leave this where it's at, because you don't want to confuse your viewers. And I was like, okay. So I went with him on that, but it birthed a whole nother thing, which is in the film, where I continued to write. And I was able to make it work, where I was able to just make it grow into something a lot larger than what this is. Because when I first shot it, it was only supposed to be 2 minutes and about 30 seconds.
Right.
So now the finished product is 12 minutes and 30 seconds.
And that's how things happen.
And that's how things it manifested itself. And the whole time it went from, okay, what am I going to name this? Because I can't name it just Remembering Love, because now it's more than that. So it's like, damn, okay, what do I name it? And everybody kept telling me, well, it's going to come to you. The name's going to come. The name's going to come. So as I'm like, okay, I'm sitting there. I'm like, how's this name gonna come? And I'm just thinking about her. SYD. I was like, SYD. Okay, SYD. I said S. Sincerely.
Mm-hmm.
I said, why? I said, yours. And I was like, D was like, darling. I was like, that's it. Then underneath that was, I hope you understand my love letter, because I'm a big Tupac fan, and Tupac got a song, Letter to My Unborn Child, where he says, my life ain't perfect, but it's sure getting better. I hope you understand my love letter.
Mm-hmm.
So when so I kind of took that piece, because I was like, man, like that's what, that's how I'm feeling. So before I did, I hope you understand my love letter, I was explaining the whole concept to my boy about everything I'm doing. And it's crazy how the world works. The first thing came out of his mouth, I didn't even tell him about I hope you understand my love letter. The first thing that came out of his mouth was, I hope you understand my love letter. And I was like, you did it. I was like, this is it. And that's what it is. It's a love letter. It's my love letter to her.
Right. It's
to be
just
honest,
it's in this format.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my love. I
like
call
that.
it the ultimate love letter.
No, I mean, yeah, you really can't beat that, because it's thousands of dollars and time and money spent. Right.
Not
so
cheap.
I hope she understands your love letter too.
I have never directed before in my life. I have never acted before in my life. I have never produced before in my life. All this was a very new space for me to step into. Right. That I stepped into.
No, and nicely done, man. There's, you have a why, you have a reason, you have a story.
Yes.
From all that. And the fact you decided to put yourself out there in a vulnerable way, sharing your story, which makes you relatable to a lot of people. And once again, I take my hat off, because men don't get that opportunity to show that side. It's real. Most of the time when, it goes the opposite way, the women get that perspective, right? And the men, it's like,
no, we don't.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna tell you, the only reason why this was even, granted what you said, the reason why men don't do it, because we're often told to move on, forget about it, move on. Don't
hit the strip club, right?
Hit the strip club. Oh,
catch some bodies.
Yeah, you hear this time and time. Oh, she wasn't that bad anyway. Right, like, bro, none of that matters. It's about where you're at with it and how you feel that person made you feel, and we allow ourselves to get distracted from what really matters. And what I did in this process, I didn't leave my house. I sat in my apartment. I was sick because I felt I self-sabotaged my relationship. Granted, the fact, yes, does it take two? Yes. Some of the stuff that I did, I shouldn't have did. So I can only take responsibility for what I have did. And for what I have did makes my stomach turn, because the woman that I love and love dearly, I could have made this situation a lot smoother, and I know I could have. I just allowed my fears that are not real to get in the way.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? Somebody that I truly love. I did not eat. There was times I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. You know what I mean? I didn't pick up my phone. I didn't want to do anything. It's
called depression.
You're right. But think about her and the most beautifulest time I had in my life.
Especially coming from where you come from,
right?
Your background.
Yeah, exactly. The most beautifulest time, and the most perfect, to me in my eyes, perfect. The most beautifulest person I ever met in my life, inside and out. Forget about the looks, inside. A person that cares for you, that wants to see you do well and wants to see you do this, and that gets on you and looks at you and be able to look at you and be like, yeah, you're not perfect, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A person that calls you out, calls you out on your flaws. A person that you can laugh with, laugh at, be laughed at, cry together, cry for. You know what I mean? That stuff is rare. And
yeah. No, man, I like I said, man, it's definitely different for men and women. So I'm glad that you're showing that side. My last question, man, is if you had any advice, or if you want to give life advice to anybody out there from what you've learned throughout your 30 years walking this earth, what would it be?
Put one foot in front of the other every day. It's hard. In my 30 years, I'm 30 years old. I just turned 30 this past March, which is huge. For me, because I never thought I'll be here. But keep putting one foot in front of the other, and believe in something, believe in God, believe in something. and just continue to believe in yourself. Most importantly, it's hard out here. You know, I mean, people are checking out every day. Yeah. Depression is very real, but if you can check yourself at the door and tell your ego that it's okay. I got this. Everything's going to be okay. Do not allow yourself to self-sabotage.
Yeah. Self-sabotage is a real thing, and we don't realize it until it's already over, man.
Yeah, right. Like, one last thing, it's like menace to society. It's like what Grandpa told Cain. Cain, do you care if you live or died? Remember he was like, he looked at him like, I don't know. But at the end of the movie, he said, he found out, he was like, it's too late. You don't want to find things out when it's too late. When deep down inside, you really do know. But it's that ego that's like, that blurs your vision. You really do know. Deep down inside, you know. But accept that feeling. Accept your feelings.
Yeah.
Accept them and don't neglect them.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, once again, as men, that's not what we're taught. So I'm glad that you are changing the mindset around it, or help being part of the change. I think our whole generation is definitely.
We hurt too. Men hurt too.
Yeah, for sure.
We hurt too.
So man, I want to just thank you again, man, for coming out, man, and joining me and being vulnerable, man. We talked about a lot, and a lot of that stuff was personal. But I think when I do this, people can go through Instagram and see what you do. Yeah. But the only time they get to find out who you are is through conversations like this.
Right. And they're gonna find out who I am through my films too.
Yeah.
So I'm not done. You know what I mean? I'm not done. I'm gonna continue to tell my stories until somebody wants me to tell theirs.
I like that. Well, hey man, it's been real, man. Appreciate you for coming out again.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have just been introduced to Thomas Clark, otherwise known as Tommy Boy. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Man. I appreciate